Hello and welcome. My name is Terry Arbaugh. I'm joined today by Yohan Jacob of Retailbound. Johan, please give us a little bit about you and maybe tell us a little bit about Retailbound.
Thanks. Thank you, Terry, for having me here. My name is Yohan Jacob. I've been in the retail industry for over 30 plus years, not that you count the wrinkles or lack of dark hair I have. Started my career working in Southern California, San Diego to be exactly, selling products to retailers, of all shapes and sizes. Made more fair share of mistakes, more on a minute on this podcast, but I learned to be successful. And I got my MBA here in Chicago and became a very large retail buyer for two different billion-dollar retailers. See my fair share of the good, bad, and ugly. As a large merchant, I saw a lot of brands, especially smaller ones, who were struggling, not just to sell to me, but to work with me, right? So I started a company called Retailbound about 16 plus years ago to help innovative product brands learn how to scale under retail. Our company, Retailbound, since 2008, has helped countless entrepreneurs in about 35 countries get into retailers like a Best Buy, an Apple, a Walmart, a Target, a QVC, and so forth. And yeah, that's a little bit about Retailbound and myself. Hello, Terry.
Yeah, it's awesome. Thank you. So 16 plus years ago, which overlaps with about my tenure here at SEACOMP, right? And some of the things that we've talked about, Johan, with our customer overlap. We design and manufacture electronics. So when companies, particularly startups that are trying to scale a hardware product into retail, there are a lot of things you've got to really think hard about and plan well in advance. And so that was some of the things I wanted to talk about today, right? So maybe I'll start with a broader question. I'm going to ask it kind of the flip side of the coin. So why is having a solid retail strategy important for hardware companies? And the other way to look at that is, what should you have tried to avoid learning the hard way?
Well, I learned the hard way, honestly. I can tell you some horror stories, but it's very important if retail is your end goal, right? It's important that you plan accordingly, right? You can't, just wing it or fake it till you make it, as you hear in the industry, right? We about a third of our clients come from crowdfunding, Indiegogo, Kickstarter, and hey, I raised $1.3 million in Kickstarter, Indiegogo. Best Buy should fall over themselves to have my product. Just because you did well on Indiegogo, Kickstarter, or maybe doing decent on Amazon does not mean that Best Buy or Apple or Walmart may be interested. My daughter is a sophomore in high school. She'll be doing her college entrance exams pretty soon, ACT, SAT. Colleges like Stanford or Harvard, ACT and SAT are just one data point they look at. Same for retailers. They look at certain data points, your sales, right? And how successful you are. They look at reviews, look at returns, right? So it's really important before you reach out to a retailer, you have a plan, right? That, hey, who are the right retailers for me? Not every retail makes sense. If you're a cutting edge consumer electronics product, maybe Best Buy is a better fit because they're more in the early stage innovation, where Walmart or Target is more the end of the innovation curve, right? Margins, right? Again, some retailers are very margin heavy, like a PVC or a catalog like Sharper Image, where some retailers take a little less margin, like a Cisco or a Sam's Club. So part of your plan of attack as a hardware startup is were there retailers that make sense for me? Two, my margin, can I afford to sell to retailers, right? Three, distribution. You can't just drop ship from China, right? Having warehousing and fulfillment to ship to those retailers. And then finally, the last thing I think a lot of young hardware brands kind of forget is post-sale support. A lot of our clients, before they meet with us, spend so much time on the product and the packaging and all that kind of stuff. They forget the last thing, customer support. How do you support your customers? Not the retailers, but then comes like myself who buy a product from Best Buy, take it home, it doesn't work. Now what do I do? Right? Do you have a phone number? Do you have web chat? Do you have FAQs? Do you have videos? Those are things you need to have in place, Terry, before you start knocking on doors and wasting a retail buyer's time.
That is fantastic. And I'm going to try to unpack a couple of those things, because just in a 2-minute answer, you said that's years of experience and knowledge that, a hardware startup going into retail for the first time, if you don't know a lot of these things, right, you're in trouble from the beginning. So let's go back really quickly, just on the margin, kind of the pricing. Just give us a quick sense from from a manufacturing cost. So if you're the startup and you're buying a product from a manufacturer like SEACOMP,
Yeah.
let's say it costs $25 from us, what would that typically retail for on the shelf? What's the kind of the wholesale pricing and the retail pricing? Give me kind of
Sure.
your sense of what that markup looks like.
So I get that question asked a lot. And unfortunately, there's no exact answer because some retailers or some manufacturers are willing to make less margin because maybe if it's a subscription. So, for example, I have a couple of clients who are consumer electronics, right? That have maybe it's a smart camera, so they have a subscription service in the back. So we call it the rate and rate. Will sell the hardware cost, give or take, and make on the back end, right?
Sure.
So typically, if you look at as probably between 4 to 6 times your FOB cost is where you should be at. So if you're at $20 cost, let's say, and by the time I land it into the US, it's I'm thinking, I mean, it's $35, right? But all the margins, depending on the retailer, right? Maybe if you're at 149, right?
Right.
199, depending on the product, right? It depends
Sure.
on if you're a consumer electronics product, right? Margins are a lot less versus if you are a product in soft lines, which is a lot more margin, right? So,
Right.
but typically our clients from the FOB cost or landed cost, right? It could be between 4 to 7 times what the retail price would be. And when we do pricing for our clients, we do both ways, from tops down and bottoms up to figure out what is the optimal price to offer to a retailer to make sure they're making money as well as the retailers as well.
That's a great answer. I know you get that question a lot. Obviously, and we get that question quite a bit, as well. And I think the basic answer without the subscription, kind of really generally, if it costs you $25 from us, you wholesale it for 50, the retailer sells it for 100 is kind of a very generic answer. But just like you said, there are so many more variables and nuances to that answer.
Add more complexity, right? Retailers like me, they buy one of two ways. They buy net, use Walmart. I want the lowest cost, Terry. So using an example, if $3 is the lowest cost possible, great. That's my cost you're selling to Walmart. Target, on the other hand, their competitor down the street, there's mostly a cost plus. I mean, they want some back end rebates. It could be marketing, volume incentive rebates, defective allowances, and so forth, right? So instead of their cost being 50, maybe it's $60, give or take, right? Minus some discounts. Now, net is still 50, but invoicing Target at 60, but probably $10 worth of rebates that will be owing to Target on the back end every single month or every single quarter, by the way. We work with our client to make sure that those rebates, that they may ask are in our pricing model. So the client's not surprised when Target says, hey, listen, here's our cost. We want 5% MDF, 2% co-op, 1% defective, and their head starts spinning around.
Right. No, it's really interesting. And I think just to pick up on one point you made earlier, going from the cost wise, you go from bottom up to top down. And that's actually really good advice for hardware companies when they're working with us as well, right? If they're coming and having a company, any company design a product and then manufacture a product, especially in the design and engineering phase, when you're able to have influence over what your costs are, what component selection and material selections are, if you know that the category of product you're making, if it's not at 149 on the shelf, you're not going to sell it. We better have that conversation early to know this backwards math that says, okay, well, at 149, then at the most, the retailers going to want to buy it for 75, 80, maybe with some rebates on the back end. And so therefore I need to buy it from you, Terry, for X, right? So when we start looking at engineering and component selection, our costs need to be in this range for our business model to ultimately be successful. right? So
Correct.
looking at it both directions is really, really important. So that's a great point you made.
You also want to think, Terry, at another layer of complexity of price. I can talk forever about pricing.
Yeah, of
That
course.
you also want to look at competition. Now, fortunately, with clients, we work with our categories that are very saturated. So it was a Bluetooth speaker or a wireless headphones. Those are very saturated categories and very tough on pricing because how low can you go, right? Most of our clients, I assume same here, are unique. They have patents or IP, they have trademarks, usually first to market, right? The challenge sometimes when you are first to market with a new product, no one's heard of before, right? No one's ever seen before. What should the price be? Should be 149, 189. If you're a Bluetooth speaker, you get an idea of okay, we know how many Bluetooth speakers out there. Is the competitive features and benefits, and what's the price, right? So what's one of the challenges? But regardless if you're a commoditized product or you're a price first to market, I always say if you're going to retail, always price high. Because what do you mean? You price high, you always come down, right? So if you're, hey, I'm at $99, probably 109. Let's start at 129 retail. Why? Because then there's room for doing promotions, right? If by chance costs go up, Terry, even as long as I have, right? Raw materials, chip shortages, UPS strike, whatever it may be, right? That you have enough buffer to help those cost increases. But if you're at 129 and you're like, well, sales a little slow, you can go lower. It starts start at $9 and all of a sudden costs go up. To tell a buyer, hey, those $9 for the last 6 weeks, I didn't really do my pricing correctly with Terry and Connor, so I got to raise my price to you, Best Buy.
Right.
It'll be one of the toughest discussions you'll have. Tell them, hey, I need to raise my price. Most likely they'll say, nope, too bad. You gave me this cost. That's the cost I'm going to stick with for a while.
Yeah, that's right. Those retail buyers aren't real flexible, right? From that standpoint, right? They're
It was an official retail buyer's guidebook. The first page, there'll be one word: no.
Yeah.
That's it. No.
That's right. Let's stick on, kind of the cash and the money side of this, right? Pricing
Sure.
is obviously really, really critical, costing, pricing, everything. It's one of the first things in every conversation we have, right? How much is
Right.
going to cost me? How much is going to cost me, right? So it's not just the unit price discussion when you're talking about, manufacturing or scaling retail. Payment terms. When do retailers, if you're a hardware startup and you've got a consumer electronic product and you're scaling into retail with a Target, a Walmart, a Best Buy, a Costco, when can you expect to get paid from them after you as the customer have delivered product to one of these big retailers? When are they going to pay you? How long do you need to plan for on that cash cycle?
It's a great question that I don't get asked as often. So typically, retailers' payment terms, generally speaking, range from net 30 or 30 days to net 90 days, right? So generally speaking, 60 being the average. So the large retailers like a Best Buy or a Target or Walmart, the ones you just mentioned, are net 60 terms, right? Mm-hmm. Some retailers may offer early payment discounts like 2% 30. Net 60 means that they pay your invoice in 30s or less, Terry. They get an additional 2% off the invoice. Right. Some REITs like QVC are net 90, which is, and then some retailers, and don't fall off your chair, more of the automotive retailers like Pep Boys, AutoZone, they're net 365. Like, okay. But generally speaking, net 60 is an average for the larger retailers. Smaller retailers, probably net 30. No retailer, and I get this customer asks once in a while, will they pay me up front? No, they will not pay up front for your product. You basically pay your factory, where it is. You ship our PO. Once it hits our books, our docks, our stores, wherever it may be, the clock starts ticking. And then hopefully in 30 or 60 days, I will get paid. Now, by the way, one more little caveat: consignment. So some retailers, we use Best Buy Canada, what they are, or Staples US for in-store, will use a word called consignment. Consignment basically means that the retail, when they may order the stock from you, to say 100 units, they're not going to pay you for 100 units in 30 days, 60 days. Consignment means they'll pay you if it sells. So I ship 100 units to Best Buy Canada, and I only sell 20 units in the month of March. They will pay me for those 20 units in March. or in 30 days, right? So
Right.
another thing you got to think about as you're doing your retail strategy and pricing, that consignment, which is a word that some retailers use, could be a means of negotiation if you really want to get in that retailer's doors and want to make a name for yourself.
Yeah, it's a way of them making you take a bet on yourself, right? Like, oh, we'll put it on the
Right.
shelf, but we're not buying it. If you're confident this will sell, we'll give you the space to test it out and we'll pay you if we sell it. Yeah, that's a
A couple
tough
of
one.
reasons
And
why a retailer would do it. Yeah, A, because they have the leverage. I'm Best
they
Buy.
can,
Right? I'm
right?
a
Because they can.
multi-donor. You're a young startup, San Diego. I have the leverage, right? You need me more than I need you. So want to be in my stores or my website? I want consignment. Now, with consignment, at least the good of a consignment, and this is why I went into the payment terms. With consignment, you get paid sooner. But typically, payment terms for Best Buy Canada, if you were a terms vendor at Best Buy Canada, it'd be 60 days. Okay. If you're a consignment vendor at Best Buy, that's why I went into this tangent, that your payment terms are 30 days. So you actually get paid sooner on consignment,
If it's
where you're
sold.
a terms vendor, maybe longer, by the way.
Yeah. If it's sold.
If it's sold,
But
correct.
it
If it's
sits on
sold.
the shelf, sits on the shelf for 30 days, and then you get paid in 30 days, you're right back even. But
But
nothing should be sitting.
regardless of its terms or consignment, these retailers like a Best Buy or a Walmart, I tell our clients this is why they hire us, is that we do more marketing and merchandising for our clients, that Best Buy all just provide a platform for you. That guy's spend their time marketing your product. I have Sony, I have Microsoft, I have HP, I have Amazon. Why would I spend my time as a merchant to spend time trying to market a one SKU brand out of San Diego, right?
Right.
So usually the retailer wants the brand, the small hardware startup, do the marketing. So it's PR, it's influencers, it's paid search, it's Facebook ads, it's drive truly the Best Buy store or website, drive the sales, get repeat POs, right? And then once Best Buy sees that, then Terry, they will invest their time and money in helping marketing that young brand. But it's up to the startup to start the marketing machine, driving sales, and
Right.
then the retail will kick it into gear.
Yeah, no, it is really interesting. And on the payment terms side, there's obviously some more layers and levels to it as well. A lot of these larger companies, they might pay you net 60, but it might be an AMS type situation. So they'll run checks once a month, for example, and we see this quite a bit. So they'll say, oh, it's net 60, as long as we received your invoice before the 15th of the month, then we'll receive it. And if we receive it, you could show that it's been delivered, but we haven't received that into our system yet. So that might be another kind of week before it gets officially received. And then,
We're
well,
pretty good. Lucky for us, because
yeah,
we work over 150 retailers in the U.S. and Canada. We're one of the largest agencies in North America. We know which retailers play those games.
yep.
And again, we treat our clients' money like our money.
No, that's great. And just really quickly, the other side of the cash management discussion. So yes, you have the retail side with payment terms and everything else. On the front end, if you had mentioned it, on the front end with a manufacturer, right, we may have components for a custom product that might be 20, 30, 40 weeks at times. So manufacturers have to go out and spend money and buy materials, buy components early. And if you
Yep.
are a startup and you don't have a credit history, you don't have payment terms or receivables, insurance, all of those things, quite often then you're paying a manufacturer up front before they ship your goods,
Correct.
right? If you're trying to reduce your cost as much as you can, then you're shipping those goods, if it's from China, potentially on the ocean. So you're adding, 4 to 6 weeks, transportation. Now, then you deliver to your retailer and then you've got their 60 days terms, right? So one of the things we try to advise, customers is making sure they're planning for these really long, really intense cash requirements, not only to design and develop and tool and build and certify a product, but to also scale it and sell it into retail and be able to support those customers with the marketing efforts and the return support and all the other things you mentioned. It's a beast of a financial puzzle to solve, in addition
Correct.
to everything
And
else you're trying to do as a business.
yeah, what we tell our clients is that not to ease their fears, because I said, well, hey, we work with you. Best we can order $1 million tomorrow. Of course not, right? that the risk is be a lot less, especially when we're working with us. Our philosophy starts small, you know, we call it the slow burn. So if we got engaged with a brand, we know it's going to take so many weeks to secure the parts, pay for the part, get the product put together, ship it from China to the US, right? All that stuff. You know, that it could be a very timely and costly adventure, right? But again, it might not be 10, it might only be 100 units, 500 units, right? Versus 5,000, right? So yeah, you still gotta wait, but we're not asking you to build 10,000 units today. It's a much smaller number because again, retailers don't have unlimited stockroom space. So
Sure.
you know, where it's online or even in store, they're gonna minimize their how much inventory because they need it. That's one of their goals. They need to
It's
turn the
turns.
goods, right?
Yep.
So what a forecast. Hey, you know, Terry, we only need you to build 200 units a month. That's it, right? Doable, right? Versus 20,000 a month. Then based on sales and other things will ramp up, but you get enough lead time to do that, by the way.
Right. No, it's interesting. And one of the things that one of the conversations we're having now is, I think we have a factory in China. We're opening a factory in Mexico. The difference just there in terms of time to market, time to shelf from a factory in Tijuana, which is an hour from where I'm standing versus our factory in China, that is a really big difference at times, right? So it could be, again, 4 to 6 weeks faster getting to the customer and starting those payment terms clock, right? So there's a lot of those considerations to be made. One more quick, I say quick topic, but one more topic. I think the theme today has just been around the complexities of scaling a hardware consumer electronic product into the retail environment, and really talking about all the different challenges and experiences that you have and that it takes to be successful in that world. One other area just to touch on while we're having this conversation, Yohan, what are some of the requirements for delivery of products, right? So I've heard a lot of different stories, and I'm sure you've got a million of them. The requirements for, packaging and labeling and pallet size and all of the requirements that the retailers might put on you for your deliveries to be acceptable, and what penalties or what downsides may happen if you don't follow those
Sure,
requirements. Can
sure.
we talk about that just a little bit?
Every retailer again is a little different in how their requirements for receiving or what they require from pallets and barcode labels and that kind of stuff. I always tell our clients that regardless of the retailer, it's very important to make sure that their team reviews we call the routing guide. Every retailer has I call it a Bible. It could be 2 pages to 100 pages because it shows the do's and don'ts that if you don't ship with this barcode label or UPC label, it's not in a master pack, right? Doesn't intercase pack, whatever it may be, that you get charged. And typically the retailers may give you a pass for the first time, but if your warehouse continues to make that same mistakes that like ships in less than full case packs, ships the wrong DC, doesn't have the right hardened markings and so forth, that you will get penalized. Those penalties, like you said, Terry, will eat into your profit margin. But every retailer has various requirements, and I always stress instead of a specific answer that check with your retailer and ask for their routing guide, and they will tell you what is acceptable by that particular retailer. What may be acceptable for Targets, maybe may not be acceptable by Best Buy.
Right. No, absolutely. And we've seen where you've got delivery windows as well. Well, they'll accept your delivery kind of between these dates. Can't be too early, can't be too late without also triggering.
Part of the routing guide
Yeah.
will have delivery dates. Now, some retailers add more complexity, might be on cost accounting or retail accounting. So for Sears Holdings, one retail I worked for, we were on retail accounting. So if Sony shipped out, we said we want the product delivered on April 1st, but they delivered the product on March 30th, right? That according to our books, we own the inventory for 30 days. What? Wait a second, it came out March 30th, not March 1st. So it's very important. You do ship by the date that the retailer gives you on their PO, because that's also part of that penalties. If you're running late, you want to make sure you give enough heads up to the buyer, because they can change the delivery date. But yeah, they have a specific window, and if you miss that window, you get penalized, but also it affects the retailer's P&L, especially if they're on retail accounting versus cost accounting, by the way.
Yeah, fascinating. I feel like we've barely scratched the surface and we talked about a lot. We talked about a lot of things, but I think understanding just the complexities of how this world works is really, really valuable. And I think it really highlights the need to hire and work with qualified, experienced people, especially in the startup world. Usually you're gonna have one shot on goal, right? As a startup to be successful. So if you kind of step into some of these unforced errors or fall into some of these pitfalls, it could mean the end of the business, right? So working with companies like Retailbound, hopefully working with companies like SEACOMP can help you be successful. So Yohan, I really appreciate your time
we call
today.
it blind spots. We don't
Yeah.
know, we
Oh
don't
yeah.
know, right? And so it's very important for hard start. And retail is still a great choice for most brands. And we feel like retail's dead. It's COVID. No, no, no. Retail is changed. It's more 70% of still done offline. I mean, research online, buy, in store. I always tell our clients who are interested in retail is truly why you want to go into retail. One, gives you street cred. But the gym say you're a brand. I mean, you and I can go to China, get an iPhone case, put on Amazon. That's not a brand, right?
Right.
Build a product, launch it at Best Buy, in store, online. Now you're a brand. But two, besides the street cred legitimacy, get into a retail like a Best Buy, that gives the customer, me and you, more choices of where to buy. Right? If I sell my iPhone case on my Shopify website or Amazon, great. That's only a small number of customers. I have Best Buy, I have Apple, I have Costco, I have QVC. I widen the audience range, right? And giving customers more choice of be buy online, take them in store, or I can't wait 3 days. I could buy it right now at Best Buy. So we always tell clients that retail is a viable option for many of them if they're interested because of those reasons, by the way.
Yeah. No, fantastic. Really valuable, really insightful. Thank you so much for your time this morning, Yohan.